righty. We got some country music up in here tonight, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It is episode number 24. Toby, what did you do to my camera? There we go. Guys, episode 24 this week of Tunesday Tuesday. We've been doing this for 6 months. That's insane to even think about. 6 months of Tunesday Tuesday, live every single week. We have not missed a week since we started. And we've had a guest every single week except for the very first week, which is amazing. And we're excited about our guest this week. He is Chuck Wimer from Lytle, Texas, which is southwest of San Antonio, I believe. I'm looking forward to asking him that. I believe I'm correct in that. And guys, tonight is a little bit of a different vibe on the show. Every song you're going to hear tonight, except for our tributes and except for two, and I will mention those as we go, will be a cover version of a well-known song, including our guest's current single, which is going to be super cool, and I can't wait to chat with him about that. If you are watching on Facebook or Twitch, thank you guys for joining us live, and if you are live, you can request a song anytime you'd like, and we will we will play it, even if it's not part of our theme, which again is cool covers. If you do know a cool cover, request it. We'd love to play it. But yeah, if you are tuned in on Facebook or Twitch Live, thank you so much. If you're not and you're catching the recap or the interview portion of this on YouTube afterwards, guys, you should join us live. We're live every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us on Twitch and Facebook at The Boston Chris Show. Super easy to find us. But without any further ado, guys, we're going to get into my interview with Chuck Wimer. And we're going to talk about his song, what he's got coming up, and so much cool things are happening for Chuck that we're going to chat about. So let's get over and chat with him right now. Chuck, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. And yourself?
Not too bad. The first thing I got to do before we get too far down the road is get the proper pronunciation of your name, because I am horrible at so it's Chuck, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. No, for real. Is it Wimer?
Wimer, yes,
okay,
that's right.
I'm glad I got that right. And you're originally from Lytle, is that right?
Well, that's where we're living. So
Okay.
I'm originally from up north, but we got here as fast as we could, and we've just been staying in Texas ever since.
I'm the same way up north. Where?
I was born in Chicago.
Okay, so Chicago, and I'm from Boston. I've been here 2001, so almost 24 years. I guess June would be 24 years.
Wow, that's a good stretch of time. I think I got here in 2007, so You've been here a little longer than I have.
So I've been here almost exactly half my life. I think this year puts me over the halfway point where I'll be in Texas. So
and that's cool.
I think I'm officially a Texan now.
We've been here longer than we've ever been anywhere else. So I'm just taking that as that qualifies me.
Nice. And so when did you? So you got here in 2007. Were you musical prior to getting here as well?
Only songwriting and stuff like that. I wasn't doing anything on stages or anything of that nature.
And so, I mean, it's funny, man. I see your music. I listen to your music. You are quintessentially Texan in your sound, and you're from Chicago. That's insane.
Yeah, I was only in Chicago, and I mean, I was so small I could walk under a table without bumping my head when we left. But
so essentially, what my wife can still do today. She's watching. I'm just giving her crap.
Yeah, no. So we went from Illinois to Florida, and then to California, and then Arizona. Then I joined the Army, and then we went all over the place from there. And when we ended up in Texas, we decided we were staying. They blew out my knee, and they said, "Hey, we can get you a desk job up in Kansas." And I was like, "That ain't gonna work."
Is that a cold thing? Too cold in Kansas?
No. It was the desk job thing more than anything else.
Yeah,
it was. I was training dogs at the time. I didn't even like people then. So that I've adapted to this business is that's just kind of impressive to myself. I mean, I look at them like, wow. If you would have saw me when I was in the Army, this is not where anybody would have seen my trajectory going. Just because, you got to have people like you, and you got to kind of like people to make people like you.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. Hey, I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, you got to have some formulation of social skills to be successful in the military for sure. Well, first of all, man, thank you for your service. And you're moving around a lot as a kid. Was that also military related?
Yeah, my dad and my stepdad were both Navy, and then I decided to go the other way. I went Army.
So there you go. Yeah, my dad was both Army and Navy, and then I went Navy as well when I was a kid.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, no problem. Yeah. So yeah, a couple of veterans here, guys. You just never know where these conversations are going to take you, and that is the beauty of podcasting, right?
If you didn't have such a good show set up, I'd say you'd have to change the mode or the method. It'd have to be a veteran thing instead.
Yeah, for sure. And we were talking about that off air before we came on. Just so many different ideas you can do with it with podcasting. Like I wouldn't mind doing one on sports, one on professional wrestling.
Oh yeah,
history. Shoot, man, there's so many different avenues I can go down. But man, my lane has been music, and it's really served me well. And so it's funny how many stories, music related stories, start with an injury in sports. It's so crazy how many times I hear that. Yeah. So was that kind of your genesis into music as well? It started with an injury.
Well, I started off as in songwriting, right? And that was I think I was 16 when I first started writing songs, and that was just kind of a way for me and my dad to connect because we were on opposite sides of the state or the country, and I never really did anything with it. And I was always one of those guys that's like, oh, my songs are just as good as everybody else's. I could do this, I could do that. But I always hate those people at the same time. If they are, then go do it, go put them up next to everybody else's. So when people actually like my stuff, I was kind of surprised, but it was, we started doing, I started doing worship music and stuff like that with the church, while we were here in Texas. And then, when they blew out my knee, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. So, we got the day job and everything. And then just, my wife says, hey, why don't you go stand on a few stages, see if you like it? Cause she knows how much I don't like those people that say they could have and should have and would have, but didn't. And I loved it. I stood up there, we're 3.5, 4 feet up on a stage, and there's nobody in the room, but, but it wasn't my band. We were just out there. We were, a buddy of mine. He's like, hey, come on up and play with my band. And I think the weather was terrible that night too. So, but I got up there, and just for the 25 people that were in this post rodeo dance hall, it was just one of those things where it was like, oh man, that I love this. This is fun. So we've been doing it ever since.
Man, I love that story. Yeah.
COVID kicked off and almost stopped it, but turns out that was actually kind of a blessing for people who were getting started in the music business, the lockdowns and everything, because the big guys, Randy, Wade, those guys, they couldn't get out there and do anything because they drew too many people. So all of us who were drawing nobody, 5, 10, 15
it put everybody on equal footing, didn't it? Like,
just kind of really did.
Yeah. Man, you talked about being introverted, and I'm what's called an ambivert, where I'm very introverted at times and I'm extroverted when I need to be. What kind of challenges did you face? You talked about I'm more of a dog person now. I have to be a people person. There had to be some getting used to that, right? From stages.
Yeah. So the funny thing is I'm not really an introvert. I just I read people a little bit too well, and I think that helps out with my songwriting, right? So I see people and they feed you a line, and you're just like, that's a line. You don't believe that, you don't feel that. You're just saying that because you're trying to look good for whoever's there. And dogs don't do that. Dogs, they just they tell you with their body language. Like if they don't like you, they're going to kind of like stare off in the distance for a minute. But when you get too close and you push that button, then they're going to let you know. And they don't lie. Like their body language just doesn't lie.
They always tell the truth. Yep.
Yeah. They don't fake it. And, half the time they're training you and half the time you're training them. But for the most part, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'd rather just have somebody tell me the truth. And even if it's harsh, I'd rather just, all right, hey, your music's trash. Cool. I appreciate that. You're not my demographic then,
It's about being realist, right? Just being a realist, like keeping it real. And a lot of people can't handle that. I feel like they want to be sugar coated. And like my dad used to say all the time, excuse my language. He would say, man, you can sugarcoat bullshit, but it's still bullshit. No matter what you do to it, it's still bullshit. So
eventually you're going to get past the sugar and you're going to be biting into what it
that's
really
right.
is.
That's exactly right. Yep. You talked about your songwriting and kind of people watching. Is that kind of where the basis of your songwriting is at? Is life experiences and kind of making up stories about people?
Yeah. So I go a little bit. Go in a number of different directions there. Some of the stuff that we'll do is taken from my own experience, things that I've seen or done or experienced, and then sometimes I'll just be sitting there. I'll be watching some folks. There's a song we released only to streaming. We never actually put it out to radio. And part of that was actually because Darren Morris had released a song of the same title right when it was going to be my second song out, and I was like, well, I can't throw that out there when he just did. But it's a song called "If He's Not Going to Love You, I Will," and it's a waltz. Really, really interesting song. But I was watching some folks at my day job, and I was like, "Oh, this is their story." I've never met them before, but this is their story. I was watching them interact, and I was like, "Yeah, that's not really her. That's not her guy. That's her side guy."
Mhm.
And so I wrote this song. It's like, if he's not going to love you, I will. And it was a fun song. We still play it every now and again, and people have taken different ideas from the song. They're like, "Oh no, that's the friend zone guy, or that's the whatever." And I'm like, "That's not how it was written, but okay."
Yeah, it's so funny how open interpretation is with art, right? Like, people can feel or hear or see or whatever they want, and that's the beauty of music, man. Whatever you meant doesn't necessarily have to be what's received, right?
Yeah, for sure. Our first top 10 on Billboard was "Fire in Your Eyes," and
Yeah,
that song that was never even supposed to be written. It was
yeah,
just kind of that was a clear my head kind of thing. I was doing a co-write with my dad at the time, and I was really trying to shoehorn a line into the song, and I got frustrated, so I pushed it off to the side, wrote that other one, and then Jamie was like, "Hey, go play this a couple of times. I think people are gonna like it." And then I did, and there was a lady who was booking us at a place down in Fredericksburg, and she's like, "Hey, I really want you to record that." And I said, "Well, hey, I really want you to pay for it. It's expensive." you know,
yeah,
I had
exactly
no,
right.
I had no feelings for this song whatsoever, and she ran a Kickstarter and funded half the album. So we were like, "Well, I guess we got to put it on the
Wow,
album."
damn, she called you on your bluff, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And
Let's
then, of
go.
course, Dave Smith's my promoter, so we handed him a whole 12-song album, and we're like, "Hey, this is what we just did for this past year." He's like, "Yeah, I want to go back and do this other song." And I was like, "Really?"
Yeah,
That's two EPs ago. And he's like, "No, I want to do the song. I think this is going to be the one." So now we don't even question him. He's just, "Dave, what do you think we should do?"
yeah.
And he picks the song, and that's how 1985 actually got it out there. We weren't going to put that to radio. We just figured that song would just do fine on its own because it's already got a huge following
Mhm.
with Bowling for Soup, um, and we were like, well, we don't really need to take advantage of their fame to try and get a song to move a little bit. But Dave was like, "No, I think based on what we gave him and what was coming out at the time, I think we had a song that was similar to one that Sundance Head's about to release, and we had another one that was similar to." Not really similar, but kind of had the same theme as Wade Bowen's Friday Night. And he's
Mhm.
like, those were the two that I was strongest on. And he's like, "No, let's do 1985."
Yeah,
So we did that
never
one. And
question Dave, man. He's been doing this a long, long, long
yeah,
time, man. He knows what he's doing. Now let's talk a little bit about 1985 because, man, I'm just in love with the song. Of course, I was a fan of the song when it came out originally, and Jaret's just a phenomenal songwriter in his own right. And
yeah, he is.
and I've been following you for a while too, and you're a great songwriter. So when you see a great songwriter pick up a song that was, originally done by another great songwriter, it's a little bit eye opening for me as a fan, to see a songwriter, kind of cut another song from somebody else, and then for the song to be essentially a Grammy award winning song as well. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, this is not the same song in any stretch of the imagination, really, because this is the countrified version of the song. And what makes it even greater is Jaret is on the song too. So I got to
yeah.
know how all of this happened for you, Chuck. Talk about it.
Well, first, thank you for the compliment about my songwriting. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
But we're really good friends with Robert Miguel from UvaldeRadio.net.
of course.
Everybody knows Robert. Robert's a hoot, right? So he's like the ferret that has a job, and he does it really well. But he's always all over the place. And one day he's like, "Hey, you want to come out and come see Bree Bagwell with me over in San Antonio?" And I was like, "Well, shoot, that's closer to me than it is to you. Let's do it." And it was Bree Bagwell and Jaret Reddick, and it was a three-way song swap, but the my wife and Bree, they hit it off really well, right? So Jamie's talking to Bree at the end of the show, and I've been a huge Bowling for Soup fan, so I'm doing my best not to become a fangirl right now,
Yeah,
as I'm getting ready to go talk to Jaret.
yeah.
And I guess he thought I was cooler than I was because he treated me like royalty, right?
Right?
Probably because I was with Robert.
God.
And so we got to talking, and we follow each other on social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And I was at the time I was watching a little bit more TikTok than I do now. I noticed that the more I watched TikTok, the dumber I was getting. So I stopped doing that quite as much. I used to actually be a really good speaker. So I got to talking to Jared. I said, "Hey, Jared, I've been seeing everybody on TikTok is redoing 1985, right? They do 1995, 2005, 2025, whatever." And I said, "Has anybody ever done a country version of the song?" And he said, "No, I don't think they have. Why don't you give it a shot?" I was like, "Haha, challenge accepted."
That's
So I
great.
actually did research, right? So this is the only song I've ever had to do research on. I had to make sure everything lined up with the time frame that we're talking about. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So I had a few different lines in there, and my producer helped me out with a couple of things that he's like, this is probably going to hit a little bit harder. And we got done rewriting the song, and I sent it over to Jared. I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he's like, "Dude, I love it. This is great." I said, "You want to sing on it?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I want to change the bridge." So he changed the lyrics in the bridge are his.
Right.
That was his idea. And so he sang on it, and we recorded at our studio. He recorded his part at his studio, sent it over. It was clean. Only took a couple of days back and forth to get it done. And now my guys, they love playing the song. It's such a fun. We were actually ending the show with that song for a while, and just because I could get off the stage and the guys could just go nuts and just play whatever they wanted toward the end. So it's a really fun song. I'm really happy that Jaret let me go ahead and redo that. And yeah, and really happy that he decided to get on the song with me.
So I gotta say, you mentioned Bree Bagwell and Jaret Reddick, and we're talking about legitimately probably the two nicest people in the Texas music scene, without a doubt, man. There are a lot of
For
really
sure.
cool people in the scene, but man, Bree and Jaret are just. I've never not seen them in a good mood when it comes to, friends and being supportive and all of those things. Man, I gotta say, Jaret is also a Texas country star at this point. For those of you
Yeah.
who are Bowling for Soup fans out there, Jaret Reddick is a Texas country star. He has a record out with
Yeah.
Texas country, and so when Chuck comes along with the idea for 1985 being a country song, Jaret could have done the thing that most artists would do and say, "That's a great idea. Let me do that." But that's not what
Yeah.
he did. He said, "You should do that, Chuck." And honestly, it would have been okay for him to be like, "Dude, that's a great idea. I'm making a record too. I'll go do that." But he didn't,
Yeah.
and he was openly sharing the song. That's what I love about Jaret is he's just so open to stuff like that. And man, he's always every time his name comes up on my show, it's because somebody either got mentored by him or got some piece of advice from him that really mattered, or this like just giving up his song and letting you essentially rewrite the song with modern lyrics and countrifying it and all of that. Just awesome stuff. I can't wait to share the song with everybody out there, but not yet. There's a few
Not
more
yet.
things I wanted to chat with Chuck about. Man, I got to talk about your wife. I know you've talked about her. She has to be your biggest fan, man. I see her all over social media just pushing the brand all the time, all the time. You guys really are an independent musician team, aren't you?
For sure. She used to be a school teacher, and she actually took a break right before COVID. And then when COVID kicked off, then she was looking at how everything was going. She's like, "I'm not going back to doing that again."
Yeah.
So she threw herself into learning the business itself. And a lot of credit goes out to our first promoter, Mark Sebi. Mark Sebi did a great job with teaching us how the ropes actually work, right?
Speaking
It
of a
was
realist, Mark Sebi is a realist. He will tell you how it is over and over again.
for
Yep.
sure. And one of the things that he always really espoused was it's all about the relationships, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So those are the things he loves to say. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so we just went around and just started meeting everybody that we could. Anytime we were going to be in an area, hey, can we come out and visit? Can we come out and say hi? And that's how we ended up becoming as successful as we are right now. For as short a time as we've been doing this, it's only been about 6, maybe 7 years. Um, is just we want to be as open as we can with anybody who wants to be open, so there's some folks that are just too busy, maybe they have iHeart or Cox or whoever is their overhead, and they have things that they have to do. They don't have any, there's nothing they can't get around it. But then for some of the more independent stations, and definitely the internet stations, we nobody's beneath us. And we're just honored to be able to be let into the door at a lot of the places, even if it's just, if a video screen or whatever, that's the door as far as we're concerned. We get to be on the program, or we get to talk to, by phone, whoever it is. And Jamie was just instrumental in making that happen. She's on the phone all the time, or on email, or whatever. She's booking, she's setting up interviews, she's doing everything. And she took over the social media, because when I was doing it, it was terrible. I think we had 300 people total across all platforms.
Yeah.
So I was not doing a very good job with that. And,
well, it takes time. It really does, and it's not just a happenstance thing. You actually have to put work into it most of the time.
For sure. And she actually she went and she sat down and did one of the Rick Barker courses, who was, for those that don't know, he was the original manager for Taylor Swift.
Yep.
And then a lot of this, we'd sit down and we'd listen to podcasts like Johnny Dwinell and Brent Baxter. I like to listen to their podcast, The Climb, just because there's a lot of good information in there on both sides, on the songwriting side, and also on the distribution and marketing side. So she'd sit down and she'd listen to those podcasts, and I'd read a book. I that's my thing. I read books all the time. I got what is it? Songwriters Market, How to Make It in the New Music Business, like all that stuff. And a lot of it doesn't really apply because it's more Nashville centric. Yeah. But there's good tips in all those things, and that's what we've been doing for the time that we've been doing this. Is we just been studying everything we can, because I didn't get started till 42, and at 42 you don't really have the time to Morgan Wallen things. You can't start throwing chairs off and then you can restart tomorrow. We just don't have that kind of time to make a mistake and then start from scratch again and try and rebuild a brand. So everything's about protect the brand and be who you are, be truthful, and people seem to enjoy it. People seem to like it. So
and you guys are super smart too, just together. I mean, you can see the strategy behind the things that you guys do. You can see that there's a thought process involved in all of that stuff, right down to the minute stuff on, what time of day things get posted. Like all of this stuff is so important, and you guys are you're there. You got started late, but man, you're part of the scene, and you've got top 10 hits now. You've had your name in Billboard. Your current song is number 44 and continuing to rise. And I mean, you tour forever, all the time. Like you're always playing live somewhere, I've noticed.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just wanted to give Jamie her flowers, because man, I noticed her hard work as well, and
she has definitely earned them.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. So let's get into Chuck's pick of the week, which I love this song. We're both veterans, so I imagine that had a little bit to do with why he picked this song. You picked "In Color" by Jamie Johnson. Why'd you pick this song as your pick of the week?
So I've been playing that song for a good bit now. One of the things we didn't talk about is just how bad my voice was, coming up before I turned 42. I used to think I needed to sing like Rascal Flatts and, the high pitched, or their higher ranges stuff. And it sounded bad. I go back and I've got all that stuff. It's all hidden on YouTube. Like it's there because it had some views, but it's hidden. I don't want anybody to ever see that again.
You hit
it. Yeah. Awesome. And so one of the artists that I first listened to was Cody Johnson, and Jamie Johnson. Those are the first three that I was listening to, and I was like, this is where I really need to be singing. This is the range I need to be in. So I learned songs from those guys, and "In Color" was one of those first songs. And we get a lot of praise, deserved or not, whenever we're out playing shows. We have that in our set almost all the time, partly because I have there's a veteran spot in our show where we do 3 songs back to back that are all veteran related, and we just get to honor our veterans during that time. And that's the closing song for that is We Do In Color. And you don't have to have a veteran, relationship to enjoy that song. Some of our older fans, they enjoy it a lot too.
And that's the beautiful thing about a good song. If it's written well, you can put in a verse about veterans, and that verse is
Mhm.
about veterans, but the whole song is not.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and that's the beauty of a well-written song, and what we talked about earlier. People getting something out of it that may not be meant by the creator of the song. And I love In Color just because it's the story of one person's life, and
Yeah.
that person's life just happened to include the military, and that's the way
Yeah.
I look at it.
Yeah. And it's the way that he set up that song was it wasn't I was deployed here, I was deployed here, I was deployed here, then I got married. It was, I was a kid and then I had this spot in my life where I was overseas and then, here's where me and your grandmother met
Yep.
and this is what that scene was like and that ends up being the bridge,
Right.
like um so it's just such a really well written song and we do it a little differently at the shows. I think we pick up the pace just or the tempo just a little bit and but we've got a lot of folks that really enjoy the way we do it and we were actually going to cut that as because we try and put a cover song on either the EP or on our full-length albums and 1985 ended up being the cover song that bumped it because technically it's a cover even though it's a rewrite. So yeah, maybe I might put it out later
I
on
was gonna say there's
as a
still
cover.
time, man. There's still
Yeah.
time. The only thing I dislike about In Color, and this is just such a small nitpick, is I feel like too many people know Jamie Johnson from that song only.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
I would implore people out there, if you only know of Jamie Johnson because of In Color, please do a deeper dive.
Yeah.
Because Jamie Johnson is beyond one of the most talented musicians and songwriters on the planet today, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, he's starting to get a little bit more of that social media recognition right now because he's doing a little bit more with the social media. I don't know if he got a new social media manager or if his management team was just like, "Hey, we need to do more in this area." But I've been seeing a lot more of him on my feed,
Yeah,
so that's it's really cool to see him getting a little bit more reach because more people should know who he is. He's
absolutely.
just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, we're sitting here with Chuck Wimer, first time ever on our platform, and man, I appreciate you coming on. What's the best way people can support you as an artist? Would you say?
Well, it's my pleasure to be on. And I would say chuckweimermusic.com is probably the easiest way to find whatever it is that you're looking for. We're on all the socials. We do, we've got this fun thing we do on TikTok and stuff. So if you like a little bit of humor and relationship stuff, we do this thing called gas station gifts. And but yeah, aside from that, probably the website's going to be the easiest way to find probably what most people would be looking for.
And I say all the time, guys, another fabulous way of supporting a Texas artist, especially with the infrastructure here in Texas, is if you are in the Texas area, anywhere, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, around this area, you can call and request Chuck Wimer, any of his songs. If you like 1985, that's the current single. Goodbye Texas is also one that he's currently pushing that you can request out there. So request these songs, even if you live in New Guinea.
Yeah, yeah. We actually have a really strong following up in the this Nordic countries.
Really,
Yeah, it was so weird.
I have listeners in Nigeria. Figure that one
Yeah,
out. Like I love,
yeah.
I love analytics, man. I lose myself in them sometimes. I'm like,
My first
really,
fan base was
Nigeria?
Brazil.
Say what?
My first fan base was in Brazil.
There you go, man. I have a friend. He's part of a duo called the Waymores, and he is giant in Brazil. Like he sells out stadiums down there.
Very cool.
Like
Very
I'm
cool.
just like, whoa, that's so neat. Like I'll see his tours down in South America, and I'm just like, man, that is so badass. But again, it's chuckweimermusic.com. I'm going to spell that out. It will be in the description below as well for those of you who are watching on YouTube later on. It's ChuckWimer. That's one M, and then music. If you make me spell that, then you're not really a fan. .com. I'm also going to put those links in both Twitch and Facebook right now, so you guys make sure you bookmark this site if you're a fan, or if, of course, you haven't heard the music yet, but you will in a second. So make sure you're bookmarking this stuff. His social media is at Chuck Wimer Music as well, so the same as the webpage. That's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. Chuck, again, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And Jamie, again, thank you for setting this up. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I don't know why I'm doing that. Yeah, thank you for setting this up. We're going to get into the music right now. The first song we're going to play tonight on Cool Cover Week is 1985. Let's get into that. Chuck, have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Once again, you're tuned into episode 24 of Tunesday Tuesday with your host, myself, Boston Chris. That was Chuck Wimer. Very first time here on the Boston Chris Show or Tunesday Tuesday. We're excited to get into the music. Again, if you are watching live on Facebook or Twitch, you guys can request any song you'd like to hear. We will damn sure try to play it as long as it's not hateful or offensive in any way. And, of course, if you are watching on YouTube and you're hearing my voice from YouTube, you can click on the link below to catch the recap of this entire show.